You're not the boss of me. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today in my basement, I'm going to tell you all about three, one, two, three tips for non-towered airports or uncontrolled airports. And I'll just let you know what they are right now and explain about them later. So, number one, if you are going to an uncontrolled airport or a non-towered airport, get on the radio. Don't be afraid to get into a little bit of a conversation with somebody. That's number one. Number two, follow the procedures that are specified for that airport. Something might be a little weird for that one. Follow those rules. And this is number three, but I should have done that number one because it is the most important. Look out the window, then you don't hit nothing. Okay, there we go. Now I'll get into the explanation of it. So, yeah, I went flying yesterday at an uncontrolled airport, and it got me thinking about, there's sometimes people that they're used to flying around airports with control towers and air traffic controllers helping them out, telling them what to do. I noticed that a lot of IFR guys are the people that fly in the rules of instrument flying. They don't really look out the window that much, and they just get told what to do. Fly this heading, you got it. Climb to this altitude, yep. So there you go. They don't have to think at all. Oh, hey, Wrench, welcome to the show. And so those guys, they're a little bit rusty when it comes to like flying into some farmer's little grass strip or some smaller airport that maybe doesn't have a control tower. So this is just a little helpful reminder for some people that maybe don't do it that much to get out of your comfort zone and go try something else. At some point you did go into an uncontrolled airport during your training, I would assume, and you survived. You got your pilot's license, right? So okay, let's get to what are the dangers that you have to worry about. Ooh, dangers. Okay, so I did mention kind of IFR guys a little bit that like to look at their instruments and their little, they don't look out the window to check out the view anymore. They just like, ooh, that instrument looks really cool. My computer screens look awesome here with with their virtual, what do they call that? Virtual vision, synthetic vision. Yeah. Oh, the synthetic vision looks better than the real vision. So yeah, so watch out for the IFR traffic guys. And then sometimes those guys, they go into uncontrolled airports too. So you might have taken off from some big busy airport and maybe it's a charter flight. You're going on business somewhere and you hop on a little jet and you're going to go off to some smaller community and just land at their little community airport. Well, those that airport might not have a control tower. So here comes the jet, and those guys they're flying an instrument specific approach, which is like usually just straight into the runway. And everybody else there, they're not flying just straight into the runway. They do what they call a pattern in the United States, a circuit in Canada and UK and stuff like that. So the planes are doing kind of different things there, but here comes the IFR guy straight in. And the other thing about that with the maybe you got a faster jet or maybe a turboprop coming in, they go a little bit faster than your average ultralight or Cessna 152. So that's another thing to consider. So the I'm just checking my little cheat sheet down here. See, you can't see my cheat sheet. I'm let it out of the box. I'd be really bad at being a politician because I'd have my teleprompters over here and I'd be like, huh? So, anyways, yeah. So we got the IFR traffic stuff. Those guys are faster coming in, doing kind of their own thing, which is allowed at an uncontrolled or a non-towered airport, as they say in the States. So you got to watch out for that. And then so with all those fast guys I mentioned, there could be ultralight or a little gyroplane or an ornithopter. Well, there's not many of those around, but they might just be scooting around, no radio, looking out the window, powered paraglider, maybe just like, I'm just look at this nice day, and here comes Mr. Jet coming into the airport. So that's something you got to watch out for, is the different speeds and different types of traffic coming in there. And you never know at some of these smaller airports, like airports, there's always a lot of grass to cut. So you gotta you gotta kind of keep your eyes out for that. Maybe Joe's, they got their hearing protection on for to protect your ears, and so they're cutting grass all day and stuff like that, and they won't hear you coming because they're on a loud lawnmower. And or in maybe in a if they're in kind of more of a tractor setup, they usually have a little radio there and they can listen, and they'll say, okay, I'll get out of the way. You never know, they might just be kind of booting across the runway and not looking at you, and there you go, now you got some tractor in front of you or a great big lawnmower. So you got to watch out for people on the ground doing that stuff, or maybe the owner has to check on a runway light that he thought was burnt out, so he's booting down the runway. And hey, there's a truck on the runway. I forgot the radio back at the office. Whatever. I'm just gonna go off on the grass and they can land. So you got to kind of watch, all that stuff. And another thing there you could worry about is some of these uncontrolled airports, it's not just one runway. There could be a lot of times they'll have intersecting runways that are shaped kind of like an X, just to handle whatever winds are there that day. Maybe one's grass, one's made out of concrete or asphalt. So who knows if someone's coming in on their no radio, which is legal for a lot of these places. Yeah, just booting in, like say you have like an ultralight. Now those things are very kind of unstable. So maybe an ultralight they took off on one runway and they're up enjoying their day, and then by the wind picks up a little bit. Ooh, now there's too much crosswind for the ultralight, and they say, "Oh, no problem. I'll just land on the intersecting grass runway." It might only be like I don't know, 1,500 feet long, like pretty short, but good enough for an ultralight. And so you coming in your Cessna, you might not notice that there's some guy coming in front of you that maybe they don't have a radio, but they have to safely land into the wind, and that the safer runway might be the grass one. So keep that in mind if you got a 90-degree crosswind to when you're taking off. We're getting pretty piloty here today. I hope you like it. So yeah, and then so we got all those different speeds and everything, and now there's a helicopter that wants to just come in there. And those helicopter guys are always flying around really low. I know around here up in St. Thomas, they have some just short south of London, Ontario, here in Canada. Yeah, they have some helicopters in there, and they'll be off spraying crops or doing whatever they want to do, training. And yeah, those helicopters at an uncontrolled airport, they just kind of say, "Hey, I'm approaching from the south. I'm going to land here. Get out of my way." It's sort of like that. But yeah, so that's what they do. And so that leads me to that's why you always got to be looking out the window. So let us go to that's the most important thing about all this. Look out the window. Now, another important thing is that my crappy red marker here is getting chucked in the garbage today. Bye bye. I bought myself some expensive markers for the whiteboard, which is coming out here pretty soon. So, yeah, there we go. Went out and just spent the big bucks on the good markers. Oh boy. And I really just wanted a red marker. That's all I needed. But of course, they don't sell just one red marker. You got to buy a whole pack. So, well, I got more backup blue, backup green, and these are the expensive ones. Hopefully, it'll last a little bit longer. So let's test it out. If we're dealing with safety, we got to have red, right? Make it stand out. So we want 3 non-towered or uncontrolled airport safety tips underlined in red because we are safe and we want things to stand out. Ooh, looks like a pretty good marker to me. Okay, don't be afraid to start a conversation. Now, this is something that they don't really tell you. They don't. Instructors don't. We don't tell people that too much. And I never really thought about it too much till I was doing a flight test for somebody up in Sarnia, which is not too far from here, the Chris Hadfield Airport. And named after the famous person from Sarnia, Chris Hadfield, astronaut. And yeah, so up at that airport, Dennis, the guy that owns the flight school up there, he was telling me that at their little airport, that's usually not too busy, but it can get busy at times, that they train everybody, and everybody in the neighborhood kind of knows, like if you're going in there, make sure you start a little conversation almost. So legally, you don't have to. Legally, you don't have to say anything at that airport. You could just bomb right in, but that's not too safe. So what usually a lot of people, oh, good morning, Shecky. Welcome to the show. Yeah, so at these little airports, it's not really even required to talk on the radio. I mean, like it's kind of best if you have a radio to use it, but most people say, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. And then nobody acknowledges that. So if you're going in there by yourself, and you say, okay, I'm on final for runway 33 or something like that. Did anyone hear you? Do you know? Did that guy that's waiting to take off? Uh, did he hear you? Is he going to start taking off because he didn't hear you? So if you, it's kind of good airmanship to say, okay, I'm on final approach for runway 33, and then there's a guy waiting there to take off. And then that guy could say, oh, yeah, I see you. Don't worry. I'll stay here. I'll be holding short of 33. Good. You hear it. They hear it. But if you're flying in, you're going to be landing. Here's this guy. Does he see it? Is he going to cut out in front of you? You don't really know. So you could say, yeah, I'm holding short of runway 33. Don't worry. I'll wait here for you. And you can get on the radio and say, oh, thanks, man. You know, it's okay. Like there's no, if it's really, really busy, you might want to keep the the chit chat to a minimum if it's really busy at these little airports. And you kind of don't want to do that at a control tower because the control towers, they're coordinating everything and where they're trying to put airplanes at what time and when is a good approach at this time and this. And so they're super powered air traffic control brains are working a mile a minute. So they kind of don't really like you to be joking around too much or like, hey, how's the weather down there? And the guy's like, I'm on the phone with someone trying to get a clearance for this jet that's supposed to be coming in, or something like that. They're pretty busy. So at the little airports, yeah, that's okay. And yeah, I hear that all the time flying around. Hey, are you going to the barbecue on Monday night? Oh yeah, sure. I'll be there. Okay, Joe, see you there. Yeah, so there will be Monday barbecue nights, usually around 5 o'clock on Mondays in the summer at the Chatham Airport around here. About a half, in a little plane, it's about a half-hour flight from the Windsor Airport. Yep, good burgers. Last time I was there, I really enjoyed my burger. So they have hot dogs and sausages, I think, too. But yeah, it's always good to fly into Chatham for a burger. It's pretty cool. Nice little airport. Yeah, that's where I was flying the other day. So, yeah, so the other thing there, if you're not starting, where's my markers? Okay, so number 2, here you are flying into your uncontrolled airport. So number 2 would be follow procedures. Follow procedures. And I'll show you something. Okay, here we go. Follow procedures. There we go. Can you tell I'm a flight instructor, making everything shorter? Pretty soon I'll just be doing everything in acronyms the way all pilots normally do. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little something from the flight training manual here. This is what every student pilot gets in Canada. I'm sure in the United States they have something similar, or there's something like that in the UK or Australia, but there's usually some kind of book put out by the Aviation Authority saying this is what you do. So this is right in the flight training manual, and this is also backed up in the aeronautical information manual that every country has to have. That's aviation. It's either aviation information manual or aviation information publication, depending on your country. So there we go. So this is what it looks like when airplanes are supposed to be coming in. We'll start with the controlled airport here. So this is what it would look like if you're flying into somewhere with a controlled tower. All right, there we go. You see little airplanes, and they're all kind of turning left, and there's little arrows, and you're joining the little rectangular pattern type thing. And you can see where I highlighted it when I was learning how to fly. This is pretty old. That's but anyway, so that's at the uncontrolled airports, and you'll notice here too that I know in the United States they like to join things on a 45-degree angle. Like here's a 45-degree thing. You don't really do that in Canada too much, but you can. That would be at a mandatory frequency airport. Then it gets, yeah. So this would be for like if you are required to have a radio in the plane, that's what you're doing right there. But I'm talking today about the uncontrolled airports. So you'll notice in Canada, anyways. Here's a look at how do you like how lazy I am and I don't have to do the diagrams by hand. So that's okay. These ones are neater. So you can see how there's nothing 45 on that whole I don't know diagram, right? So you come straight into the downwind or you cross across the field here. Whoop, join that way. And then you circle around and land. So yeah, so it's kind of like the if you are in Canada or even in the United States, maybe you haven't been to a uncontrolled airport in a while, without the old flight training manual or whatever your publication is, and take a look at uncontrolled aerodromes or whatever it might say. For here, it says uncontrolled aerodromes, and then you read that. Feel free to get your highlighter out, and like I did years ago when I marked up my book. And yeah, so take a look at that, and you'll be in good shape. So there we go. That is my other thing there, and you follow the procedures that are in the book. You as a pilot, at one point you did know them. Now you have to know where to look up that information as needed. So okay, here we go. What else we got here? Number 3, which is I should have put that number 1 because it is the most important. Look out. There we go. Look out the window. Capital letters. Actually, they're all capital, but this one's a little bit bigger capital. Oh, you know what? I'll underline that in red too because it's like safe. Okay, let's try the old marker. See if that's maybe it's just my old marker just came back to life because it was sitting there. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty garbage. Looking kind of pink. Not liking it. Not liking it. That's going in the garbage. We'll compare that with my new marker. Thanks for indulging me in my oh, look at that. Whoa. Can you tell which one is new and which ones are old? Of course. So there we go. Money well spent. Now I have a functional red marker. Very cool. So look out the window. Look out, look out. Most of your mid-air collisions happen around airports because everybody's going into that airport. You know, if you're up in the sky, up, you know, whatever, thousands of feet, the chances of you hitting an airplane are like pretty much zero because like you can't even, if you see an airplane, next time you're up flying, try to hit it. Good luck. You can't catch up to it. It's too high. It's too low. It's too far away. Like, I don't know. I've done that for fun just to say, hey, if I was really dumb, like if I closed my eyes, could I hit this thing? So like I'm trying and forcing it. And it's like the airspeed's coming up and like I'm going too fast here. I better slow it down. We're getting up to the red line. So it's like, yeah, if you want to even try to hit an airplane, you kind of can't. So don't worry about that. It's where you get to the airports. This is where I'll bring out my dust covered KD-12Xs here. The original KD-12X and the KD-12X Mark II. So yeah, everybody is going to join to come into the airport, and they're all going for 1,000 feet above the ground. So hey, here I am. I want to be 1,000 feet above the ground. Oh, me too. Let's do this here. We get this right. Me too. I want to be 1,000 feet above the ground. Oh, hey, whoops. That's not very good. We don't want that. So everybody wants to be 1,000 feet above the ground. There they go. Or maybe I'll have it go the other way. I like the other side of the KD-12X. It looks a little bit sharper. So we'll do that. It's got the full KD. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we are. We're floating along 1,000. Oh, now that one's got. Well, we should have them diverging. I don't know. You just can't win on the superpilotish channel, I guess. But anyways, you do. Yeah. So somebody could be coming in. Okay, he's flying this way, right towards you, and this guy is turning, but not looking, and like that. A lot of times, what will happen is maybe somebody will be coming straight in like this. Now, this is where it happens a lot. Is okay, I'm descending to come in to land like this. This guy is looking at the runway down here. So he says, okay, I'll just turn like this and I will come in and descend. So what can happen a lot of times is this guy here, he's got his low wing. He can't see above his nose. So if these planes are exactly like this, the guy up here, he can't see here. And especially if this plane here were like a Cessna with a high wing, the guy on the bottom can't see the guy on the top. The guy on the top can't see the guy on the bottom. And they start descending, and they kind of go. But luckily, they're not. Sometimes they actually manage to land like that, and they'll just kind of, there they are on the ground. Call the insurance company. But yeah, so you really got to keep your eyes open. Look out. And by the time you're coming in like this, it's kind of too late. So you want to look at everywhere. If you're turning to your final approach, take a look. Is anyone coming? Take a look a little bit up, a little bit down. Maybe this guy is like, I want to be at 1,000 feet. And this guy here is like, oh, I'm about 1,020 feet. So I'm okay. And it's like, no, this guy just drops a bit. And so like, you really got to watch it around the airports and just look out that window. And just remember, if you are looking out the window, don't look all over the place with your eyes. You won't see anything. You want to take a look at just, look ahead. And then what happens with the way that eyes pick up the other airplanes and traffic, you'll never see an airplane if you're looking around really fast like that. You'll always see an airplane if you're just kind of looking and you catch it in your peripheral vision. Oh, what's that? So yeah, it's the eye picks up the movement, and your brain will detect the movement in your peripheral vision. So if you're moving your eyes all around like this, it doesn't give your brain a chance to settle in and pick up the movement through your peripheral vision. So yeah, so that's the way you pick up the traffic in the sky. And my students are always very impressed that I can pick out the airplane so fast, because it's like, okay, someone's on final approach. I know he's supposed to be down there. I'll look at one spot. There he is, and right next to it. So I'll be, oh yeah, I have the traffic. How do you do that? But then the more you do it, the better you get at it, like anything. So, okay, very cool. That's my 3 tips there. If you are going to a non-towered approach or airport, don't be afraid to start a conversation. In fact, it's kind of encouraged if it's a little bit slower. Did you hear me? Are you going? Really? What do you plan on doing after you take off? Are you heading to the north? And then you hear on the radio, does that mean, yeah, I'm going to the north, or no, I'm going to keep going south a little bit? So you say, what did you say? And then it says, and then you go like, okay, Roger, his radio's messed up. And then you start looking even more for him, right? So there you know. And if he comes back, see you at the barbecue on Monday, then you can say, okay, see you there. I will sit with you and have a burger. Okay, so number 2, follow your procedures. Some airports have right-handed circuits. Some people have noise abatement, or some airports have noise abatement procedures. Some might have 800-foot circuits, and some might have 1,200-foot circuits. Depending on where you are, there could be something specific to that airport. Make sure you find out beforehand. Another thing I didn't quite mention, I forgot, was that if you're talking on the radio here too, if there's someone on the ground, you could say, hey, Mary, are they out cutting the grass today? Officially what you're going to do is ask for an airport advisory. Blah, blah, blah. Charlie Yankee, let's chat him. CYCK. Charlie Yankee, Charlie Kilo, Unicom, request airport advisory. And they go like, and they tell you what's going on. Yeah, Joe's cutting the grass. We'll tell him to stay away. Okay, thanks. And then, so there you go. That's part of your conversation, is talking to someone on the ground if they have that advisory service. Okay, follow the procedures and look out the window. I'm talking to you, IFR guys. You look out the window, even if you are like on your instruments, or if the pilot flying is looking at the instruments, the other guy should be looking out the window. That's my opinion. I don't know. I've never really flown 2 crew IFR before, so I'm sure they want you looking out the window at some point. Your company does. And yeah, there we go. There's your 3 tips. All right. And we'll take a look at some of these comments, questions, see what we have. And oh, here we go. This is a pretty cool tip. So we've all worn foggles to see only the instruments. Foggles are like basically, they kind of look like glasses, but they're kind of darked out, except for you can only kind of see through the middle like that. And then that makes it so you can only see your instruments, and it makes it's there to simulate you're flying in a cloud, but with the safety of not flying in a cloud. So that's what foggles are. But how about doing the pattern without looking at the panel at all? My instructor made me do it, learn my speeds by the angle of attack. Yeah, I do that. I introduce that usually on one lesson if I'm teaching somebody, like if they're chasing the needles, I'll just cover it up. Like, here we go. They're just fixated on the airspeed. I'll get like a post-it note and I'll go, ooh, cover up their airspeed, and they'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, well, go aim at the runway. And then that kind of gets it. And then you stick another post-it note on it, another post-it note, and then pretty soon they're just flying around. You cover up the instruments, and then they amaze themselves that you can find out other information, or you can tell what the airplane's doing by just looking out the window. So that I agree with your instructor there, Wrench. Good instructor. Oh, we have an actual accident report here. So Wrench says flown at a glider airport. No radio in the gliders. That's pretty frequent. And crashes at the threshold until people move it off. Glad I figured out what's happening and waited to land. Yeah. Good example of good airmanship and looking out the window. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Okay, I see your joke there. Okay, I'll bring up the joke. If I call out a base turn in the forest and no one's hears, did I make a sound? No, you did not. But you should always make your base turns and calls in the forest, anyways, just in case someone is there. So, okay. All right, so that's about it. So yeah, okay. So on Monday, I will be back because I do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. But on Monday, I will have a special guest here. So Chad Elkins, the certified, chartered personal accountant, Chad Elkins, CPA. I'm going to have an actual accountant on my show as a guest. He is an accountant. Last I heard, he was in the Chicago area, but now I think he's down in Texas or something. But we'll find out on Monday when Chad joins us on here, and we're going to be talking about. I fired off a few questions for him to be prepared to answer about, like, if you have a business and an airplane, what can you write off? Gas, maintenance. Chad will tell us on Monday, and we're going to talk about just general accounting kind of stuff. And so it's my show. I can do what I want. I can talk about garlic. I can talk about airplanes. I can talk about accounting. So that's Chad. Chad's been nice enough to agree to come on there. And hopefully we'll get to the bottom of this stuff, the taxes and write-offs and all that other fun stuff. So he's going to be on Monday with me for about a half an hour. We'll see. And yeah, so we can look forward to that. And I already said, I'll be back on Monday with Chad Elkins. So we'll just kind of shut her down. Yeah. Today's pizza day too. Excellent. And I got to get my garden in here too after this. So cool. Let's have a great weekend, everybody. And thank you for watching. Bye.